This is the only time you'll ever hear me talk about a man in a loving, yet alone romantic manner. First video of the new year, you could not catch me with dirty, crusty hair. You couldn't. Hello. How you doing? So today, or this week, maybe we're going to be reading the elusive, the mysterious, the intelligent, the exquisite, the refined, the enigmatic RM, or Namjoon, from BTS's favorite books. This is the second video of this on my channel. I read Irene's feminist a photo card burning book, and I talked about it a little bit. And today, we're reading my wifey, Namjoon. Namjoon is the leader of BTS. I'm pretty sure you know who he is because every person in the world knows who he is. But if you know Namjoon like I do on a personal level, if you're a fan, you know he's really into like philosophy, nature, architecture. Did I just say architecture? Existentialism, life and death. What are we doing here? What is our purpose? You know, really intellectual, as I like to call him respectfully, Big Sexy. I'm even dressed like him for this video. I know he has something like this similar in his closet. He's into a lot of earth tones, a lot of neutrals. I did this just for you, Namjoon. But he also has a dark side, and you can really see in the things that he consumes and recommends. He ponders a lot. I'm feeling, ow! Sometimes the world just doesn't work out for me. I just know that man is up at night multiple times a week, just tossing and turning and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And that is a lot of what he reads, books that are kind of made with the purpose to give you food for thought, to make you think a lot. Let's just say when it comes to literature, that's not my favorite. It's not. I don't do philosophy at all. I don't like to think when it's not like absolutely imperative for me to do so. But I will do it. I will do it. I mentioned in my previous book video that I have not read in a long time, so I'm trying to take it easy. I chose The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, Me Before You by Jojo, Moyes, and The Stranger by Albert Camus. I'm kidding. No. Maybe by the end of this, I will have sucked up some of his big, sexy, brainiac, sexy brain juice. Let's get it. Ew, this cover. Perks of having a sister still in high school. Let's get it. Oh my god. I want to get frostbite. I'm already almost finished with this book, and it is annoying. If you want to know what this is about in one sentence, it is about a man, a very strange little man who lives a strange little life until one day he commits murder. He's not very bright. When I read the blurb, I thought this was going to be about a man who gets caught in the middle of a murder over a subjectively moral dilemma, and then he begins to like ponder and spiral over like the moral intricacies of like life and death, overall human existence, when taking someone's life is justified, things like that. That's not what this is at all. I'm annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I have about 15 pages left, and I'm trying to not put this book down. And I'm doing this for you. Okay, I'm trying to get inside your head. These pants may or may not fit today. I am severely bloated. Okay. My resolution for this new year is to accept the fact that I like dressing in black and white. I do. I'm not gonna apologize for it. Let's go Namjooning today. Black. That intellectual, sexy vibe. Huh? No. No. book is nerd. It's nerd, nerd, nerd. Nerdy, nerdy, nerd. The language is nerdy. The strange names are nerdy. I'm gonna keep reading it, but I just wanted to let you know that. Just a couple of guys we seem to have picked up in open space, she said. Section ZZ9, plural Z alpha. Zaffled Beeblebrox.
But for the most part, these are all, every single one of these are said daily. You could of course add all these amplifiers like bien, it's going well. Ça va bien, oui, 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 ça va bien, ça va mal, ça va très, très, très mal. Very, very badly for me.
I'm actually really not looking forward to reading this, because not only is it the size of a Tonka truck, it's like 300 pages. I hate romance. I do. I think it's stupid. I sat down to read this. Let me read you an excerpt of the prologue. She is wearing one of his t-shirts, and her long hair is tousled in a way that prompts reflexive thoughts of the previous night. How does this movie go again? Anyway, isn't it like sweet girl and like mean guy? Oh, okay. I remember the trailers. Okay. I still don't want to read this though. She looks up from a brochure and pouts. She's probably slightly too old to pout, but they've been going out a short enough time for it to still be cute. Maybe I can skip the prologue because this is ridiculous. Why did I choose? Whoa. Okay, maybe I do need to read the prologue because I just read the word explosion. You know when you are deeply, almost scarily in love with someone, so you begin to behave like a therapist and borderline stalk, but most importantly, psychoanalyze their every single move. That is exactly what I'm doing today. That's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Hence the get up. So, wow. What a philosophical, intellectual, passionate journey we've been on this week. I have a lot to say about these books, so let's just get started because I unabashedly talk a lot. First book, The Stranger by Albert Camus. I know what you're probably thinking. Jess, had you not read this before? Had you not? The answer is no. The answer is no. Not even in school. I just hadn't read this before, so seriously, I don't want to hear it. The answer is just no. I have to get my gripes with this book out first because above everything that I am in this world, above being a daughter, a sister, whatever, I am a hater. 100%, 1000%, I'm a hater. I really am. This book, the protagonist is just a lovely treat. He'd be a great boyfriend, actually. I mean, from the way he describes people and things, let me just pull a few quotes for you. He called a woman enormous. That's not cool. That's not cool. He called someone awkward, but just not really that bad, actually. He said someone had a ruined face. The protagonist of this book is like pessimistic, yes, slightly anxious and like always very hyper aware, but it's not even the kind of pessimism that is kind of sexy and fun to read in a book because, you know, the character develops and like grows from it. It's just annoying. The pessimism is annoying because he goes on and on and on and on and on. He is quite literally dead inside, literally. He has a very strange ethical and moral compass because he is so detached, hence the name. Ding, ding, ding. The Stranger. I see what you did there, Albert Camus. You go, girl, from your grave because you're dead. My point is that it's annoying. It's a crucial part of the book. I know it adds to the plot. It adds to the perspectives that are reflected upon the book. I know. I don't like it. I don't have to like it. Okay. Complaint over. So in part 2 of the book really begins to delve, or really I think hint at philosophical theories. The protagonist gets tried. So in the midst of his trial, he is thinking pretty heavily about the crime he committed and yada yada yada. I try to maintain my interest and keep going because that is where all the good stuff is. It was very hard because of how passive this character is. I was very much over the book and the story altogether. I mean, because you could set him free. You could set him free. You could give him $1 billion. You could tear his limbs off one by one, Saw style, and he would look you dead in the face and be like, okay. He would not care even in the slightest. Plain and simple, through this book, Camus highlights his philosophical notion of absurdity. Why am I holding this book like it's a baby? I can stop holding it now. Human existence in general has no rational meaning or order. Yeah, okay, cool. Also, since every human eventually meets death, human life is ultimately pointless. Yeah, okay. Once again, cool. I completely think this is within Namjoon's element. He quotes philosophers in his V-Lives, his interviews, even in concerts all the time. Am I saying he takes on the mentality of the protagonist? No, I pray to God for anyone who does. But I think pretty simply, because he takes a significant loan on life and death, and maybe even absurdity and existentialism, he's able to ponder and study the mistakes we make in life, self-love, life and death, happiness, ambition, growing into your 20s, things like that. He's able to take those in and appreciate them a lot more and a lot intensely, which is really cool. Even light is treasured more when there is darkness, which is actually a direct quote from him. Moving on, this book gives insane ASMR. Keeping a slightly kooky philosophical theme, this is, what is this? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This book is about an English dude named Arthur Dent. He unexpectedly finds himself in a universe of like randomness and slight chaos when he finds out that the planet Earth is scheduled for demolition. It's going to be destroyed forever. And along the way, he meets some pretty interesting characters. Yeah, I genuinely don't have much to say about this book. It was a fun read. Kinda. Would I read the next book in the series? No, I'm just really not at all into science fiction. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm not a Star Trek fan. You know, the stars. I don't know anything about it really because I am a pretty girl with an actual social life and romantic prospects. So, I mean, what's next? Am I gonna learn Discord? Are you kidding me? But this book is a fun little like surprise. Every page you turn, you truly do not know what would happen to the plot. Truly no idea. One minute you're in Bleeble-Blorf, the next you are in Sleazel-Slorf. This was a fun read. It was also a little bit nerdy, which is why I think Namjoon likes it. Because I do think he's a little bit of a nerd, but I don't think that is the sole reason as to why he picked this book. Because I think maybe why he chose to read this book and what sets it apart from like every other science fiction ever is the absurdist perspective that it takes. Ding, ding, ding-a-ding, ding. Are you sensing a pattern here? The book takes on this absurdist perspective by portraying humans' search for the meaning of life as completely futile. So this leaves the characters free to enjoy a life with no higher meaning and no higher power, because the book involves various characters through a journey in outer space, and these characters are attempting to find meaning in a very chaotic space, but they're usually getting distracted or giving up along the way, so they never actually find an adequate answer. They do find fulfillment in like other ways though, which I think like reflects that absurdist notion of having to come to terms with like having no rational meaning or no higher power or no higher meaning in this crazy little thing that we call life. So I 100% see why Namjoon chose this book. It's like when your mommy blends vegetables into your pasta sauce when you're a baby and you're just eating it up, not realizing that you're taking in actual nutrients. It's like science fiction and humor with like a little dash, just a dash of philosophy. It's, you know, nothing too crazy. Okay, last but not least, you know what I'm talking like this. If you read the book, that was a bad accent. The romance, the one to really, you know, tug at your heartstrings. This is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. It's about a quirky little girl named Louisa Clark who loses her job, so she is on the hunt for a new one. So there she crosses paths and meets Will Trainer, who is like was a financial whiz kid, super successful, but unfortunately became paralyzed in a motorcycle accident, so she becomes his caretaker. I tried to not let my blackened witch heart pollute the romantic and tender nature of this book. I told myself to not roll my eyes, to just really enjoy it, really lean into it, and I did. Thank you so much. Thank you for the applause, actually. The process of reading this book was, in fact, enjoyable. It's very slow burn, which I love. Eat it up every single day. No disrespect to the author, but the beginning of this book reads very Wattpad. It's giving very Wattpad. If you told me that a 17-year-old girl in like Illinois wrote the first 50 pages of this book, I would 1000% believe you. 1000%. That is not to undermine the work of the author or teenage girls. No, no, no. But the language, the phrasing is just like an ordinary, guileless girl who is like quirky and like she's not even like a mascara, lip gloss kind of girl. She is a soap and water kind of girl. It's very insignificant. I know it really is, but I just had to say it. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let me read to you my notes during the process of reading this book. Let's go. He's like warming up to her. I think I might like this book. Damn, so he really cannot move. This whole time I thought it was just his legs. This part of the book does have my legs up in the air, kicking my feet and giggling. That is what I thought. Did I like this book? Yes, genuinely and wholeheartedly. I thought it was written extremely well. I thought it was real and not at all cheesy. This book was not at all what I thought it was going to be. The story is just so much more than like a girl meeting a guy. I think it's a story of redemption and of self-worth. It delves into very serious and controversial topics such as personal choice, freedom, and the value of a human life. I am gonna get just a little teensy bit deep here, but the main thing I got from this book was that we do not hold the faculty to ultimately change anyone. We can be comedic relief, we can be loving, we can be caring, we can be attentive, we can provide the person with resources to help them out. We can give quite literally 110%. We can give it everything we've got in order to help our loved one facilitate healing and ultimately change, but we cannot change people. We cannot change people. Quite literally, all we can do is love someone and love them unconditionally, which is a very sombering thought, but I think it's also a little bit like ego death, actually. I think ego death is immensely crucial when it comes to self-preservation. So, in short, you're not special. None of us are. The human experience leaves people with scars and decisions that can be impenetrable and render your efforts to undo them absolutely useless. Out of all of these sexy, yummy, sexy girls, I would say my favorite is Me Before You. Anyway, Namjoon is very complex and sexy. He has a sexy brain, obviously. If you read any of these books, you will in fact have an IQ of 148, just like him. And to confirm, I actually did talk to him. I DM'd him on Instagram and he said, yes, you will have an IQ of 148. And he also said that you should subscribe to my channel. And he also said that none of this is a lie. I'm actually not lying at all. So, bye.